It was around 3 a.m. when Kate jolted awake, her heart pounding in her chest. She sat up quickly, breath shallow, and glanced around the room. Everything seemed normal. Her bedroom was the same as it always was, the same cozy blankets she always snuggled up with, the same soft glow of the nightlight by the door. Nothing seemed out of place. She rubbed her eyes, feeling the familiar weight of exhaustion creeping up on her again. Kate had always been a heavy sleeper, but for some reason, tonight felt different. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. She glanced over at the clock, and it seemed to be stuck at 3 o'clock. That was odd. The digital numbers never froze like that. Her eyes drifted over to the mirror across the room. The reflection caught her attention, as it always did when the light from the night lamp hit it just right. Kate had always liked how the mirror made the room feel bigger, more open. But tonight it felt like the mirror was too clear. It almost felt like it was pulling her in, as if the glass was alive. At first, she didn't notice anything strange about it, but then it hit her. The reflection didn't match her movements. Kate froze, the blood in her veins turning cold. She blinked hard, then rubbed her eyes again. Her reflection was staring back at her. But it wasn't her. Her reflection was moving. It was smiling. Kate's stomach churned, a knot forming in the pit of her stomach. She didn't know what to make of it. It felt like a bad dream. But she wasn't asleep. She was wide awake. And that grin in the mirror, it wasn't a natural smile. It was wrong. It was too wide, too sharp, like something she'd seen in a nightmare. She turned her head slowly, half expecting the reflection to follow her. But it didn't. Instead, the reflection stayed exactly where it was, still smiling at her. Kate's breath caught in her throat. Her reflection, it was still smiling, but there was a change in its eyes now. Something wasn't right. The smile, it didn't fade. It didn't waver. It only grew wider. She needed to get up. She needed to leave the room. Her heart raced in her chest, and her hands felt clammy. But as she tried to move, she found her body locked in place, paralyzed. She could feel the air around her thicken, like the room itself was holding her in place. Then something shifted in the mirror. She watched, horrified, as her reflection leaned forward, as if it were getting closer to her. But no, she realized, it was moving. It was coming out of the mirror. Kate's blood ran cold, and she screamed. The reflection didn't just smile. It twisted its face into a grotesque mockery of her own, its eyes gleaming with something dark and malicious. She jerked herself upright, trying to get away from the mirror, but when she looked back, her reflection was gone. The glass was now just empty, like it had swallowed the figure that had been there moments ago. Kate scrambled out of bed, her heart pounding in her ears. She bolted for the door, her hands shaking so badly that she could barely grip the doorknob. But just before she could yank the door open, she heard the sound. A soft knocking. At first, she thought it was just her mind playing tricks on her. She had to get out of there, get away from the mirror, from whatever it was that she'd seen. But the knocking persisted. It grew louder, more urgent. She slowly turned her head back toward the mirror, and there, on the other side of the glass, stood her. Her reflection was staring back at her, but it wasn't her anymore. The version in the mirror was wrong. It was no longer smiling. Its eyes were wide open, staring directly at Kate. And it wasn't just standing there. It was banging on the glass, slamming its hands against the mirror in rapid succession, as though trying to break free. Kate screamed again, the sound ripping through the room. She twisted the door handle violently, throwing it open. But just as she ran into the hallway, she felt something, someone, grabbing her wrist from behind. Whipping around, Kate saw her reflection standing there in the hallway, still grinning, that sick, twisted grin. But this time, the reflection didn't stop. It stepped closer, then pushed Kate forward, as though it had taken control of her body. Kate's world began to spin. Her vision blurred. She was no longer in control. The reflection inside the mirror was inside her, and it was taking over. She felt her mouth move against her will, words she didn't speak escaping her lips, her hands lifting up as if they were no longer hers. And before she could even scream, she watched as her reflection, her, moved closer to the front door, the door she had left wide open. The reflection turned its head and locked eyes with Kate once more, this time with that horrific smile stretched across its face. And then, in a voice that wasn't hers, it whispered, "We've been waiting for you." The door slammed shut behind her. Kate's heart stopped, and the only thing she could hear was the sound of her own breath, labored and shallow, as the room around her seemed to fade into darkness. Her reflection was still out there, and it was waiting.